Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7:01 p.m. and the date is Tuesday, December 9, 2019. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members, Ms. Lisa Carson, Mr. Joe Kraus, Ms. Kay Towsley, and Mr. Robert Dulac, the alternate who will be a voting member tonight. I am John Goldsey, the chair, and present also we have the zoning administrator, Mr. David Riggs, and secretary, Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the Board to the applicant. Thank you.
First, we are going to hear the case for the property 27 Brown Street or Avenue, and the next one would be 15 Avon Place. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. The first case is case number 19-10V. The address is 27 Brown Avenue. The zone is R1. And Mr. Ben Stewart is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 2303-11A1 to allow the construction of an accessory structure, a storage shed, with a right side setback of 1 foot, where 5 feet is the minimum requirement. Mr. Eschenbacher or the code administrator, I had a question on when you have a 2 feet overhang, would that be considered as the trajectory of that underground or just a wall?
Well, right here, good thing you asked when I had the page open here. Cornices, canopies, eaves, or other similar architectural features may project into side yards a distance not exceeding 2 inches per 1 foot of side yard width, but may not exceed a total of 3 feet. So yes, they can.
Okay.
Short answer, yes.
So if they say the foot is 1 foot right now, I mean, if the overhang is 2 feet, there could be a foot in the neighbor's yard, huh?
That's possible, but
Okay.
that would be between the neighbors.
Okay. Questions for the code office? No?
I just wanted to add one small thing. If you've read the appellant's letter, they've noted the slight
Yes.
size of their lot.
2.5.
I just wanted to point out that in 2007, a previous owner received a variance for that property to have a driveway narrower than what's allowed. So I think that kind of emphasizes the slight size of that lot.
Okay. Thank you. Would Mr. Stewart come to the podium over there and state your name and the address for the records?
Hello, I'm Ben Stewart, and we are talking about 27 Brown Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Should I start?
You can say or whatever you like to state. We have your letter in here. And then you said somewhere in one of the last paragraphs that you actually want to preserve a tree, and that's possibly going to give you 2.5 feet instead of 1 foot from the...
Yeah, there's 2 trees right on the property line, and we are going to keep those, so I'm going to shift the shed slightly more towards the interior of our yard.
Okay. So the new number would be 2.5 feet, right? Based
approximately. I mean, I was asking for 1 foot just so I kind of had a buffer for when I laid it out.
Is it okay we just change it to 2.5?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll do that. Is it okay with you folks? Okay. That makes it easier.
Okay.
Any question from the board members from the appellant?
No.
This is your time to say whatever you like to. You're on TV, so.
Well, hello there. Well, I guess I was expecting to restate kind of the general appeal, but if that's not necessary, then...
Well, if you want to summarize, the audience might get a chance to know more about it. So you basically want to extend the driveway into a shed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like how a lot of houses in Athens have garages there. It's not actually going to be a garage, but the same general shape as that's kind of 1-car garage.
I was in there this afternoon, and your lot goes all the way to the top of the hill, right?
Almost, yeah. There's an easement at the top.
And
so
then I saw some structures, like a subfloor was made out of pressure wood. What is
yeah,
that?
it's like a temporary deck structure that's not. It's
Is-
not finished, and it's not.
Is this going to be finished into what?
It was a project from this summer that I still haven't decided if we're going to finish it or not. It's just kind of tacked together.
Do you have a
So-
permit for it?
I do not.
Well, the code office, any comments on that?
Well, we'd have to see what he's doing, but it's possible you would need a permit for that.
Okay, so you make sure to contact the code office, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped, because I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to.
Yeah, because that will add another structure to your
Yeah, and
property.
the need for the shed became greater, so I just kind of froze that project, and it's zipped together with screws, so it's a real quick.
Okay, so please be in touch with the code office. No questions? You may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone would like to speak on behalf of this request, or in general, or in opposition? No? Okay. We're going to close the discussions from the floor and discuss among ourselves, or somebody would like to make a motion with the change of 2.5.
Yeah, I can make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we grant a variance for the property at 27 Brown Avenue from Athens City Code 230311A1 to allow construction of an accessory structure, a storage shed, with a right side setback of 2.5 feet, where 5 feet is the minimum requirement.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, second. Okay. Exceptional circumstances. Are there exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone? It seems that this property is very similar to the neighboring properties, and all of those homes are kind of small in size. And I was back in there. Most of the properties do have a structure in terms of the shed or a place to leave the tools. So I think that qualifies for the exceptional circumstances.
I agree.
Okay. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. And this will be created because of the exceptional circumstances.
Yeah.
Preservation of equal property rights. Again, all the neighbors that I saw, they had some sort of a structure or accessory building on the back or the side. So we are not really giving additional privileges to this property. Minimum variance, well, we gained 1.5 feet, so so that makes it a little bit better. Absence of detriment. I didn't see any.
No.
No.
Not of a general nature.
No.
So no. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor of granting the variance, please raise your hand. You have the variance 5-0. Congratulations. So again, please make sure to be in touch with the code office so we don't have to come back in here. All right, the second case is case number 19-11V. The property is at 15 Avon Place, and zone is R1, and Mr. Jeff Brown is the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 2303-11A1 to allow construction of an accessory structure. This is going to be a garage with a left side setback of 2 feet, where 5 feet is the minimum requirement.
Just wanted to point out that in 1988, a previous owner got a variance to build a garage too close to the side setback. So I don't know what happened 31 years ago, but either the garage went up and went down again, or he never got around to building it. But 31 years ago, the zoning board did grant a very similar variance.
Okay, so you can track that far back, huh? Yeah. Yeah, might as well just go to the podium, please. State your name and your address.
Okay. Name is Jeff Brown. Address is 15 Avon Place. Obviously, you just went and read the gist of it. The only other things I would add, it included plans to give you an idea. The 2-foot setback allowed for your question earlier about overhangs. And I'm like, well, I've got a 2-foot overhang on my garage plan, which would put it right at the line, the proposed line. The other thing I would point out is, and I went and took pictures, if it helps, of neighboring structures between State Street and Jacobs, the immediate vicinity. The majority of houses have garages and or carports, many of which there's very little space. I mean, obviously these structures were built before, and I think I talked to you guys in the code office about when the 5-foot setback was implemented. So these houses were built before that time. The reason I would point it out is just to suggest that the house would still kind of fit the neighborhood. It wouldn't be a unusual circumstance to have a garage that close to the property line. So the reason we are mostly concerned about it really is just the safety of our house. The way the house is situated on the lot, the driveway goes to almost within 2 feet of that lot line itself, which would make us have a fairly substantial swing just past the structure, which also is a deck and a heat pump sitting right there. So it's worrisome. We would, we'd prefer to get as straight a line into the garage as possible without having to worry about crashing into our structure. Yeah.
Any questions for the appellant? I have a question. This structure it seems to be pretty substantial. Is it 22 by...
Substantial in size, is that?
In size, yeah. It's a 1-car garage, but in this 22 by 16, it seems to be...
It's an oversized garage. Part of that's a reaction, again, walking the neighborhood and looking at garages that people obviously can't open their car doors if they park in the garage. The house, we moved from a large house, and there's not a lot of storage in this place. So the intent was to build enough attic space in the garage to have substantial storage for us as well.
Okay.
And a workshop in the garage.
I'm not going to ask you to make it any smaller, but is there any chance possibly that maybe you can move it a foot or half a foot or something away from the neighbor so that that overhang would not be a question in the future?
Sure, I mean, that's your call.
Well, I mean,
we would prefer to keep it as straight as possible. Like I said, that's really the objective here, is to get it so it's...
It could be maybe just a little bit smaller, just a foot or two, you know, and then, and could we just make it that 2 feet that you have now, just like the first case, 2.5 feet from the neighbor?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Code office, was okay? Board members?
Sure.
Okay. All right. No questions for the appellant? You may be seated for now. Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this proposal? Did you swear in?
No.
Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Sure.
Okay, please go to the podium. Oh, yes. You have to be on TV. There are 20,000 people are watching you.
Right. Yes, I'm sure they are. Well, I just wanted
Your
to say
name
that,
and address.
Oh, my name is Pam Brown, and I too live at 15 Avon Place. I just wanted to reiterate that most of the driveways and garages that are in the neighborhood are literally on the property lines. There's like no setbacks. So the driveway is there, so if you were to drive directly, from the driveway into the garage, it would just be really awkward to have to swing at all. Just to
It's not going to be a
preserve-
swing, it just, what I proposed was 6 inches, so that you would be clear off the borderline, you know, and again, we haven't done the survey, we don't know exactly where the line is, but based on your presentation, we want to make sure that any runoff water from the roof, you know, is not going to go to the neighbor's yard. It's just to be considerate that they're your neighbor, that's basically it.
I would say that we certainly plan on adding gutters that would
Okay.
bring it to the structure and to the foundation and back in the proper drainage.
Okay, and so you're objecting to,
Well, I mean, it's just, many of the existing structures are on, there's no setback at all. They're on the
well, we don't
property
know
lines.
that, you know, I mean,
You can see that they are. Some of the structures practically touch. So there's like no setback at all.
yeah, okay. Anything else? Is there anyone who would like to speak in general or in opposition to this proposal? No? We're going to close the discussion from the floor. And would like to entertain any?
Are they in agreement of the 2.5 feet? I'm confused.
They are.
The husband is.
Well, I mean, the ideal is, if that's what's proposed to us, if that's the make or break number, I would prefer the 2 feet, but your proposal is.
2 feet is better for us.
We like to negotiate always, so,
Yes.
you know, if you are happy with 2.5 feet,
Happy might be an
I'd be
overstatement.
happy.
you know, I want 5 feet, but you want 2 feet, so, you know.
Given that, and, yeah, proposed that way, sure, 2.5.
2.5.
Okay, 2.5 it is. Now, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
2.5.
go ahead.
Make a motion to grant their variance.
No, yeah,
Oh.
read the whole,
For Mr. and Mrs.
you just go with the property.
15 Avon Place, case 19-11V. I propose for a 2.5 foot variance.
You got to read the whole thing. See what you've gotten yourself into?
I just shouldn't get involved. The appellant is requesting a variance for ACC 2303-11A1 to allow construction of an accessory structure with a left side setback of 2.5 feet, where 5 feet is the minimum requirement.
Okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rob? There is a statement in the package that says how to read the motions.
Boy, if I knew how to read.
Okay, so we have a second, and then, do you see any difference between this case and the first one?
I think they're identical.
Should we just suspend the rules and just go to the voting?
It's okay with me.
Or do you want to discuss?
I don't have anything.
Okay, all in favor of granting this variance, raise your hand. 5-0. See, that half an inch, that 6 inch made it so easy. Okay, we have disposition of the minutes from November 12, 2019 minutes. I read it, it was perfect to me. You guys read them, everybody?
Read it.
Okay, those who were present last time, they can vote on this one. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of November
12th?
12th, 2019.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
You were not
I was
here.
not here.
Okay, so we approve the minutes, and that's it. Happy holidays.
Thank you, John.